25th of February, Chelsea fans are getting together to protest against this ownership. So I wanted to give you a balanced point of view, give you my point of view from what can happen and what the outcome can be from the protest, but also a balanced view on what is actually happening at Chelsea Football Club. But I've got one question you can all ask yourself first, and that is, ask yourself, do you care about the ownership or do you more care about how the club is run? Because for me, when you think about that question, 99.9% of Chelsea fans will care more about how the club is run. So is it really, do you want the owners out? Or do you want them to change their strategy to be more ambitious? And that's the message I would be trying to portray in this protest. So I've got a few more notes, and Chelsea fans absolutely should be protesting, in my opinion. This isn't about Chelsea fans being entitlement, like I'm hearing from other fan clubs, or Chelsea fans expecting to win trophies every year. This is not about that. This is about Chelsea being ambitious, has shown the effort to qualify for Champions League, shown the effort to try and compete for the Premier League and trophies, and that's what it's all about at Chelsea Football Club. They don't expect to win trophies every single year. So the protest, brilliant idea. In my personal opinion, if I lived in London, I would be part of that protest. I think it's something that needs to happen because we've given this ownership time. This time is running out, and it looks like and feels like, and the message coming out of the club, that Chelsea aren't ambitious and they're really regressing. So about the protest, this is what you've got to ask yourself. Is it Blue Coat and the owners out? Is it Clear Lake out? Is it the sporting directors out? Is it even Enzo Maresca out? Or is it just a change of strategy and model? Because during the protest, there has to be a clear and concise message to be effective. Whatever that message may be, it could be, I want the owners out. Everybody needs to be aligned and trying to portray the same message. Because if not, I can guarantee you that these owners will just sit back, laugh and think, they don't even know what they want. So how can they tell us what we should be doing? So everybody needs to be aligned. You can't have one guy saying, I want the sporting directors out. The other guy saying, I want Todd Boehly out. The other guy saying, I want Clear Lake out. The other guy saying, I want a different model. That's not what it's about. Get everybody aligned, and then you send your message clearly and concisely. I think that's the best way of being more effective, and that's probably the best way of seeing some change. But what you also need to think about is put yourself in their shoes, right? They're not Chelsea fans like you, me, or him. They don't care about the Chelsea fans or what they expect or what they want. They're business owners. You don't buy a football club to lose money. That would be ridiculous. We're not asking them to lose money. We're just asking them to, we're not even asking them to spend the Galacticos like a Real Madrid. It's to show more ambition and better squad building. That's all Chelsea fans really want. Ambition to win trophies. If the effort's there and they're trying to be ambitious, you can't really complain. It's when the effort's not there and they're not showing any ambition, that's when you can complain. And Chelsea fans and me and you have absolutely the right to protest against it. Now, let's look at the manager and players in isolation. These are not the blame for this situation, in my opinion. Yes, you can get frustrated with the amount of mistakes, performances, and then even Enzo Maresca for not being adaptable enough in his approach to fit the players he's got. I feel like Enzo Maresca and these players are getting hung out to dry to an extent. You can't criticize them, but it's constructive criticism. I think Enzo Maresca is doing a good job for the tools he's been given. The only time you can really get at Enzo Maresca and the players is when the effort's not there. And I think that comes from those above. And those above are showing a lack of ambition. That feeds into the squad. And that's exactly what we're starting to see with the likes of, with the performances and the results against Brighton. Yes, you can go to Brighton and get beat. But when the performances and the effort is non-existent, that comes from the top. Every business is set by from the owners. And if that owner doesn't really care, hasn't really got ambition, just cares about making the minimal profit or maximum profit, that's when Chelsea fans get angry. So they've got every right to protest. This is not what I'm saying. Just trying to say the protest needs to be concise and sending a clear message. So Enzo Maresca can absolutely be criticised for not playing to the players' strengths or not adapting because of injuries, and the players can be blamed for lack of effort. But at times, some of those players don't even look like they want to be there. They're not committed for the club. And I think that's where you can be angry at the players and the manager, but that's not enough to want them out. Chelsea really do have a talented squad, but they just lack leadership and game management. But in terms of the quality of the squad, how the profile players are put together, the lack of leadership, the lack of experience on the football pitch, that's all down to the sporting directors. So what I'm trying to say is these players are not to blame. Enzo Maresca's not to blame. They've got partially to blame just for the performances on the pitch, but the guys that are truly to blame are the owners, because they're running Chelsea Football Club like a business, not a football club. But there has to be balance. I'm not saying don't go into business and make a profit, because again, that would be ridiculous. You've got to go into a business thinking that you're going to make a profit. Everybody does it. There's not many owners out there that are liked by their fans. Even Liverpool fans were getting at their owners not that long ago. So there has to be a balance. They have to show ambition, but I don't mind them signing a few young players for the future or to make a profit on, because that's what consortiums do. I made a video when these guys took over and I said there's going to be a lot of moving assets, because that is exactly what consortiums do. And that's how they make their money. They'll find little assets and try and make a little profit. It's all about little profits building up to a big profit. That's exactly what they're doing. So I don't blame them for doing it, but there needs to be a balance. You've got to bend the rules a little bit, adjust the budgets to bring in that bigger experienced player, that leadership, that player with that little bit of extra quality that can get you over the line. The positives of these owners are they're willing to spend money. Nobody can sit there and say that they're not willing to spend money, because they've spent close to 1.5 billion, and they've actually really bought some top talents, and talents that I think will have a big success at Chelsea Football Club. Estevao being one, Kendry Paez, you got Andre Santos, who's balling out at Strasbourg, you got Cole Palmer, who's been an absolute diamond since he arrived. So there has been some positives going into this ownership. I'm not trying to get at them and always be negative, but there is some negatives as well. Lack of ambition, woeful squad building and player profiling, buying assets just to make a profit. And that last point has got to where we are now. We've actually went into January with a decent squad, coming out of it with the worst squad, despite knowing we needed a midfielder, despite knowing we needed a better goalkeeper, despite knowing we needed another striker. We went into January needing these assets, but coming out worse. And João Felix transfer sums everything up. You buy him in the summer, keep him around 6 months, and then because somebody offers you a loan with a fee on it, you sell him because you want that fee. João Felix could have played a crucial part to this end of the season. We needed more bodies. We need more squad depth. So getting rid of players isn't what is going to get you in Champions League. So that, to me, tells you it's a lack of ambition. Chelsea Football Club have always been a football club that have had a terrific spine in their team, full of leaders, experience, and a good blend of youth. And that's what makes a good team. You need that balance. First of all, if I was a sporting director, the first thing I would do is build the spine of the team, because you want that consistency, and that's going to be your main source of ingredients to be successful. And then you start bringing a few leaders, a few experienced players, but then you also have a mixture of that youthful exuberance. And that's exactly how you build a team. But it seems like with Chelsea, they're just going for youth, because it minimizes the risk of making a profit. And that's the frustration. So where do we go from here? Because the protest absolutely has to happen. But what happens from now, if I'm being brutally honest, the owners aren't going to sell. They will not care what Chelsea fans say. They won't care what you say, what I say. They will just care about themselves making a profit. And that is the brute honesty, especially if you have a disjointed protest without sending out a clear message on what you want. They're just going to laugh at you. They'll sit behind their millions and just not even change anything. And that is me being honest. Where you really hit them is in the pockets, but Chelsea fans are too loyal not to turn up to games. Chelsea fans are too loyal not to buy merchandise. So this is the next step. Sporting directors sacked. They're spending 1.5 billion and they have this to show for it. If you spend 1.5 billion and you've just come off Champions League winning trophy, you want to at least be competing for Champions League football. Enzo Maresca has come out and said Chelsea are not competing for Champions League football, and that is not their aim. Every single year, Chelsea should be at least competing for Champions League football. And guess what? Your targets change during a season. When Chelsea were going well, I said, and I stood by Maresca, they weren't ready to win that league. So I think he was correct in saying that. When you come out and say you're not ready to qualify for Champions League, that's what set this all up. And that gives the players an excuse when they don't win games or don't qualify for Champions League football. That is a defeatist mentality. But the sporting directors need to be blamed for this, because Spending 1.5 billion is a sackable offence when you're not competing for the Champions League, especially with a club like Chelsea. Go out, get the best in class for your sporting directors, because these sporting directors aren't competent enough. But even if they go and get the best sporting directors, that won't change unless it changes above them. So the message I believe would be most effective in the protest is a change of identity. I think this would be the most realistic outcome. Yes, we understand you need to spy youth. I think that's important. I really do, because you need to build for the future. You need to foresee the future. And it's important to keep your club in a profitable deficit. That's important. So I stand with Todd, Boehly and Eghbali on that. But what we're asking for is bring in some experience, bring in some leadership to guidance these youthful, exuberant, quality players and build them into absolute world beaters. That's what you need. And guess what? It's like an evolving message, because once you bring in the leaders, once you bring in the best in class players, once you bring in that experienced heads, that allows you to show more ambition and win trophies. And guess what, Todd, Boehly and Eghbali? Winning trophies is great value for money, because it will bring you more success, more profit, more revenue. So trophies, European football qualification actually brings more money into the football club. So for me, the message is clear. If you sack Enzo Maresca, the next manager that comes in will still have the same problem. If you sack the sporting directors, the next guys that come in will still have the same problem, because they need to listen to their boss. Yes, you can call them yes men, but you've got to listen to your boss. So it's the bosses that need to change their mentality. And that only comes from Eghbali and Todd Boehly. So what I'm saying is, even if we've got different sporting directors in, their message, their instructions will still be the same. Sign the young best players around. And that's what's happening now. So even if I think we should change our sporting directors, the message we should be portraying to these owners is change your mentality, because that's the only way Chelsea are going to be Chelsea Football Club again. But look, guys, if you've enjoyed this video, I want to hear your thoughts. Do you agree with me or do you disagree? I think the protest should absolutely happen, but let me know in the comments below, do you agree or disagree? And I want to say one more thing. I live in Newcastle, and for 12 years Newcastle had Mike Ashley, who wouldn't spend a penny. These owners are willing to spend, they're just spending it in the wrong places. That's the difference. So it's not about getting these owners out, it's about changing their mindset. And I think as a fan base, if we portray that clear message, we could absolutely change our mindset. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. And if you've enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And until next time, ciao for now.